our top story this hour, Israel has conducted airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. The military says it targeted a rocket factory and a chemical production site. Now, the military wing of Hamas says it fired surface-to-air missiles at the Israeli aircraft conducting the strikes. Israel, for its part, says it launched the strikes after a rocket was fired from Gaza. Now, tensions have escalated after Israeli forces killed 10 Palestinians during a raid in Jenin in the occupied West Bank last Thursday. Now, Arise chief correspondent John Cookson has been monitoring developments, and he joins us now live from Jerusalem. Good day, John, and it's a pleasure to have you. What's the latest on the Gaza attack?
Hi there. Israel's still on a high state of alert, the highest state of alert, but things have quietened down a little now. The first rocket attack came in the early hours, a rocket fired by Hamas militants into Israel. Israel then responded at about 2:15 Nigeria time and hit what they say is a weapons manufacturing base near the Al-Maghazi refugee camp in Gaza. And then there was a second strike by the Israelis southwest of Gaza City. Again, the Israelis claiming they've hit a weapons factory. After that, Hamas did fire 2 more rockets towards Israel. But since then, things have pretty much quietened down. But as I say, Israel's still on a high state of alert. This kind of exchange of rocket fire has been going on for years. It comes at a particularly tense time for the region. You mentioned the 2 incidents last week of the attack by Israelis in Jenin, and then the response with the attack on the synagogue. And of course, it comes in the same week as Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, came to Jerusalem and to Gaza to try to calm things down a little. Well, there'll be disappointment that things have not calmed down, perhaps, as he and the American government would have hoped.
Well, thank you, John. Now, what's the likelihood that this latest strike by Israel will end Hamas action?
There won't be an end to this. In fact, Hamas is getting stronger as the weeks go by. They're on peaks and troughs, depending on who's bankrolling them. Currently, it's Iran. Iran's always been a keen supporter of Hamas. And there's also a scandal involving the central bank of Iran, where officials there have been siphoning off $8 billion, that's billion with a B, $8 billion from the Bank of Iraq, sending it to Tehran. Tehran is then using those billions to finance groups like Hamas in Gaza. So it's an incredible situation that we have going on here. Now, I mentioned briefly the synagogue attack. Last Thursday, the Israelis stormed into Jenin. They shot 9 Palestinians. Some of them were militants, but there was a 61-year-old lady who was a victim of that. The day after, then a Palestinian man, a lone wolf, if you like, attacked a synagogue here in East Jerusalem. I met with the father of the youngest victim of that attack, and he gave his interview speaking to Arise, his very first interview on the subject. Here's my report.
Neve Yaakov is a nondescript, windswept Jewish settler town in occupied East Jerusalem. It's an ultra-Orthodox district where Judaism is comprehensive, rules and practices dictated by Jewish law known as halakha. It was in this synagogue that the faithful came to pray last Friday night, spirits no doubt uplifted. But as they were leaving, horror. The shooting seemed to go on forever as a 21-year-old Palestinian gunman pumped round after round into departing worshippers. A reprisal attack, it seems, by a lone wolf militant out to avenge the deaths of 9 Palestinians at the hands of the Israeli army the day before. Among the dead was 14-year-old Asher, already a keen young sportsman and straight-A student. Almost a week on, his father, Aher on Yusuf, a man racked with understandable grief and pain, spoke to Arise News in his first interview. He said, "No one wants to be the father of a dead child. I'm devastated and don't know whether I'll get through this, but I suppose I must. Me and my family are looking for a miracle," he said, "but we know Asher is gone and not coming back." Asher used to light a candle as we do in our religion, and I'll find Asher's candle and light it and keep it lit. This way he'll live on, just like Israel will also survive. Immediately after the attack and the non-lethal shooting of 2 more Israelis by a 13-year-old boy, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu promised a tough crackdown on terrorism. But there's skepticism in settlement towns like Neve Yaakov that anything will change.
I knew for some of them very close. They was a friend of mine, clients of mine, and I really feel sorry for the families and for us also, but what we can do.
Do you think anything's going to change around here?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because?
Because this is a situation already 2,000 years. It didn't change. What's going to change it now? Maybe the Messiah will come and it will change.
As a common theme, Palestinians who commit acts of terror have often lost family members to violence. So too in this case. The gunman Kera Klam, aged 21, was the grandson of a Palestinian murdered by an Israeli settler. The settler never faced justice. Although life has regained its familiar routine, those who prayed here will never get over their loss. And settlers here, as elsewhere in the occupied territories, live with a nagging fear there will be a next time. John Cookson, Arise News, East Jerusalem.